Hi, I'm Jeremy Meiss, and from 1995 to 97, I worked in an ISP who did the websites and e-commerce sites for the first Mission Impossible and Independence Day movies, and worked directly with Apple on some of their early e-commerce initiatives. I was first hired there as tech support, and I built out those great kind of CDs with things like WSFTP and Netscape Navigator and Gopher and Winsock and Archie, and I progressed my way up to be Unix system admin and then network admin. Now, during my time there, we had grown to take over 3 total floors in the building. The dubious decision was made to have myself and the support team run the new Cat5 cable, and then to let the contractors connect the cables to the wall outlets, and then number them there. One of the many problems with this was whenever there were issues, we didn't know who was sitting where, or what outlet was connected to which port on the patch panel. So the CTO decided that we should identify which patch panel port went to which outlet at each desk. The fact that this should have been done from the very beginning, and by those of us actually running the wiring instead of the contractors, was lost on him. It wasn't the first, nor was it the last such example in my time there. Now, I mentioned this we, which of course meant me. I sat at my desk after hearing the news and mentally started calculating how long it was going to take me to use the tone generator on the roughly 75 connections across the floors in order to visit each outlet and map to each patch panel port. As I recall, I calculated it, and it would take roughly 8 to 10 hours to do it, meaning I was looking at least almost a day and a half being fully devoted. My 20-year-old attention span was not amused. So I remember sitting at my desk, in the desk chair, looking at the patch panels behind me, and I had what could only be described as a eureka moment. I reached up, unplugged one of the cables, leaned back in my chair, turned to face my desk, looked at the phone, and waited. Sure enough, I got a phone call. I've reproduced that conversation as best as I can. You'll see there's Eudora, GeoCities, and eZines listed. I'll let you take the next few seconds to kind of marvel at the sheer genius. I had found the magical solution. Over the next roughly 2 hours, our building experienced what really could only be described as intermittent network outages, which affected everyone. In groups of 10, because I wasn't a monster, everyone needs to feel that sense of community over random times. I had successfully completed the task with the minimal amount of effort on my part, on the way implementing, without even knowing it, a few of the core principles that Emily Freeman lays out in her fantastic book, DevOps for Dummies, before they were a thing. So let's review them now. Instead of taking on the project all by myself, I efficiently roped others in. They unknowingly provided me with the legwork and allowed me to sit in the server room with my feet up, eating bonbons until the next group of people recognized they needed to join me in this project. I live in Kansas, so silos are a regular thing across the plains. And I can honestly say that as a result of this brilliant plan of mine, no new silos were created during my time there. I'd say that was a pretty successful endeavor. I holistically approached the problem by using all of the resources that were available to me. My chair was comfortable, the patch panels were behind me, the switches within easy reach, the telephone had a speakerphone, and I had a pen ready to write down the location with plenty of ink in it. I recognized the failure in not marking the locations when the wires were ran, which left me with a learning opportunity on how to automate. I also learned that a ballpoint pen was not nearly as effective as a Sharpie. So telephones. They used to be used to talk on, not text, take selfies, or do TikTok dances. So I used it. I communicated with multiple people over a few hours. They were all extremely thankful for my communication skills. I heard loud and clear that people were having issues with their internet connection. I took that feedback, I rolled it all up into actionable results by plugging their cable back in, and then I accepted that they were happy with the service that I had given them. And I'd say that was a very productive morning. The challenge with any project, be it software or building a deck, is how often you can repeat what you've just done, making any changes along the way, thus making way for the next sprint. I was able to take this 1 to 2 day process and turn it into a less than half a day success story by breaking it down into those groups of 10. And finally, automation. And this is where this 20-year-old in me really excelled. I was able to automate the manual process of going to 70 plus outlets in the building, down to never leaving my chair and having everyone in the building do the task for me. I dare say that was also a good example of teamwork. Now, of course, this was all in jest, not at all the correct application of DevOps principles, or really a good way of working for anything or with anyone. I would like to say that I've learned a few things since then about DevOps, and thank you for having me.